hello everybody. Welcome to Sonic Talk, episode 859, recorded today on the 3rd of September 2025. It's a music technology podcast. Those of you who are enjoying the pre-show will have seen me fumbling around with terrible audio interface issues, which doesn't happen very often, fortunately, but we got there in the end. So I'm hoping I'm reaching you in, is this thing on, in full fidelity. So yes, welcome. We'll be talking about the latest news in the world of music technology and synthesizers, drum machines, music distribution, all kinds of stuff, studio, live, production, everything you could think of. So we cover a variety of topics. I want to say hello to everybody in the chat. Nice to see our chatties there. We've got Wagyu, of course, who's holding the fort, a great admin and moderator for our stuff, as well as many other useful things. Jack, Darren McKay, Chris Head, Padawan Studio, Traitor to the Living. There's a new Acratic Borealis, Peter Seabill, Tom. Yes, lovely to see you all. So thank you very much for joining us. I'm just going to give you a quick plug for our Patreon, because it's really coming on strength to strength, and we've got some really good stuff up there. So we'll be back just after this. There are so many great reasons to join our Patreon. Ad-free versions of our reviews and other videos, plus exclusive content like extra review footage and hidden gems from an extensive archive. Get early access to selected videos, enjoy the Sonic Talk pre-show banter, and there's a growing library of sample instruments and impulse responses. Oops, I messed that one up. Anyway, well, I'll come back to that. That's what I've got with too many things going on. But yes, do join us on Patreon. It's well worth it. Patreon.com/Sonicstate is where you should go for that. So a bit of housekeeping. What have we got coming? Oh, I need to tell you about our new UVI competition. You can win a UVI Sonic bundle worth €799 at the moment, which is running. It's based on Instagram. If you go to the URL that was just posted to the show notes, you'll be able to pick up all the information and see what you have to do. But it's we're very pleased to be able to do that, and it's part of our 30th anniversary. This being our 30th year, we're going to try running a few of these up until the end of the year to make the most of it. So anyway, well, let's get on to our guests. We'll say hello to Yoad Nevo, who's there in Nevo Sound, where he's in full fidelity. Yoad, of course, mixer, producer, engineer, software developer, consultant, many things to many people. Doing a lot of good video stuff on YouTube as well. I was just commenting previous to the show about your new overhead angle, which is particularly, it looks great. It looks really good. How are you doing, Yoad?
Thank you. Yeah, very well, thank you. Good to be back. It's been a while.
Yeah, it feels like it.
Yeah, I've been very busy as usual, but now I have another layer of kind of activity, which is the YouTube videos, which I'm enjoying very much so far, and I get great responses. So it's really nice to hear.
Yeah, no, it's really good stuff. I noticed that you're working in full 4K at the moment, which full 4K. What do you keep all your footage, or do you just keep the master once you finish? Because that's a lot of disk space.
I keep everything. I have 3 cameras running in 4K, screen grab, which is also 4K, and audio. So it's every session is quite big, but it's not. You know what? It's not that terrible. I've done like 50 videos, kind of apart from shorts and stuff, around 50 videos, and it's about 1.5-2 terabytes. So it's not that bad, and it's all on Dropbox. So
that
fine.
Seems easy enough. Yeah, 2 terabytes is pretty good. Well, fair play.
Yeah.
Keep it up. And of course, we have back again after a break, Mr. Richard Nicol from Pittsburgh Modular, where he mans the controls and comes up with lots of great ideas for synthesizers and has his people make them. What a great position to be in. I know you do more than that, but I'm trying to make you sound more important. And you're on a swivelly chair, for goodness sake. You know, what am I supposed to think? How are you, Rich?
I sit in my big orange chair and I tell people what to do. It's fantastic.
How are things? You good?
Yeah, things are great. I had a nice holiday and I'm back and I'm energized. We have a lot of really interesting projects at Pittsburgh Modular right now, which is cool. It's been announced I'm going to be at Bristtronica this year. I'm performing in Gaz's Rack Records show. So I can't wait to get back to the UK and basically get another vacation out of this fall. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Nice. Well, I think we saw you last time, didn't you? Because you came over here and we did a little video piece. We had that fun jam with Paulie as well, and then I just can't remember seeing you in Bristol because we went to London. It was a bit of a action-packed week, wasn't it? From what I remember, we saw Heimbach in London, and then came back for Bristronica, from what I remember.
Yeah, that was sort of a whirlwind. That was a lot of fun to come in and see the Sonic towers and everything. And I was only there for a few days though. This time I'm going to be in the UK for a week. I'm going to be in London the first and last day, and then I'm going to be in Bristol for like 5 days. So I'm really looking forward to getting there and being there long enough to relax a little bit. So it's going to be a nice time off.
Excellent, and I hope you can travel light, Rich, because you and luggage and international travel have a very poor track record. So make sure you just stuff your pockets full of undergarments so that you're at least covered in that department.
I wish that wasn't true. I really do.
I know. I've lost count of the number of times I've seen you in Berlin, and you're just there, sort of like, oh crikey, no, that was just. I thought travel couldn't get worse, but that was the worst yet. I just seem to remember that delays and whatnot. So
it was 3 years in a row, and I try not to think of it anymore. I'm shell shocked a little bit because of it, but I do my best. I do my best.
All right. Well, let's try and distract you with some interesting topics, shall we? At least we can do that. Well, first of all, full disclosure, obviously, Baby Audio, we did a presentation for them, but their new Tekno drum machine is out, and I'm going to use Yoad's video, because Yoad shot a video of just sort of making patterns and making kits. Well, making kits rather than patterns, I think, or making patterns as well. So I'll just play a bit of that, and we can discuss. So let me see. I think it's this button here. Let's see if it works.
Nice. Hey, I'm Yoad. Welcome to my studio. Baby Audio have asked me to create some factory presets for Tekno, and this is what we're going to do today.
Right, I won't play the whole thing. I will encourage people to go and do that elsewhere, because there's lots of video out there. But I have to say, Yoad, that demo was one of the more compelling ones I've seen, and it really kind of like showed it off, because it's an interesting thing. For those who don't know, this is a modelled sort of analog drum machine with 18 voices. I mean, well, not drum machine, drum synthesizer with 18 voices, master section, multiple outputs. For those of you who hadn't seen our presentation with Michael, you can see the nuts and bolts about what's going on. But so you sounded like you were having a lot of fun with it. So what do you make of it? I mean, obviously, presumably you're part of the, you were hired or whatever. So I suppose we should say full disclosure, but it looked a lot of fun what you were doing.
It was a lot of fun, and I've been using the BeatStep Pro, which, do you remember we did a video quite a long time ago on how I use that, and mapping it and changing sounds and all that, using it in Logic. But this time I was using it as a sequencer to drive Tekno, and it's such a fun thing to have, because you can dial sounds so quickly, and they sound, whatever you do, just sounds really good. It sounds like what you want it to sound. And I had so much fun. And what I say in the video, which is true, is I got it. I didn't want to dive too much into it, because I wanted it to be like kind of an exploration video, although I was making the factory preset. So I maybe should have shown more responsibility and kind of learn the damn thing, but I didn't. I just did it all on camera, and it's so easy to program that it just happens. And together with this, which is a great sequencer and kind of hands-on and all that, it was great fun. And I just and I think it comes across in the video that I was just having a blast, and I got some factory presets out of that as well, which are available in the kind of default menu of the product. So it was a really enjoyable kind of afternoon. So it was
Nice.
great.
It's interesting. I mean, when we were doing the presentation, and I was kind of quite pleased to see that they didn't put a sequencer in it, because I think,
Yes.
you know, modern DAWs have got way more advanced sequencers in them that you can tailor to work how you want in many ways. So in many ways, I'd sort of prefer, certainly in software, to have to use the sequencer of my choice rather than have to deal with that other stuff. But drum synthesis is a really interesting idea. I mean, I know, Richard, obviously your drum machine, you made an analog one quite recently, so you probably know what goes into these things. But 18 voices is a nice is certainly a nice number. That's for sure. It's a lot of things. Each one's like a little machine, isn't it? So it's kind of, and I guess you have the same thing, but you've got the limitations of actual physical electronics in your kitchen's case.
Yeah, there's a difference, obviously, between analog modeled and analog, but this baby audio thing, I was really impressed with the breadth of sounds you could get and the flexibility that the voices had. The fact that you could create a wide range of sounds, and they all really punched hard. So there's 18 voices, but a lot of them are maybe not as like there's a high tom and a low tom, and things like that. But
there's commonality, yeah.
But I think with 18, the point that they were trying to make is you can make any sound, you can make as much as you want. We're not going to limit you by saying, in the actual analog world, like with our the Boom Chick drum machine that we came out with, it has 5 voices because that's how many we could put on the PCB. But with software, as long as you have a computer that can handle the DSP power, it's great having the flexibility that maybe you have a couple sounds that you only sort of use once or twice in a track, and knowing that they're there and you don't have to have a special thing set up just to do those sort of special hits is really nice. So I think 18 is a really good number for this. You would think 16, but when you're not limited by sort of mapping the sounds to a sequencer, 18 is a great number, and boy, does it sound really, really good. And because it's sort of analog modeled, or that sort of workflow, when you look at the interface, it immediately makes sense. I'm always worried when I see digital instruments that trying to sort of get into how they work is, for me, as a very analog and physical person, it can be very confusing, and sort of I lose interest very quickly. But this was really directed. It was like, oh, that's how it works, obviously. So you spend your time sort of making sounds instead of trying to figure out how it works, which is very cool. I'm a fan.
Yeah, I know. I noticed, you were using the randomize button quite a lot, starting with a random kit and then sort of tweaking it to get. That's quite an interesting way of doing it. I mean, I think the random demonstration in our particular video was a little less obvious as to what was going on, but I quite really like the idea of doing that. So, and then, you just go, well, that kick is obviously wrong. It needs a tweak, this, that, and the other. So that was kind of an interesting approach, because randomization is often a bit hit and miss. But yeah, 18. How many pads are there on the beat step? Is that 16? So you're too short.
16 pads.
Oh, damn.
There's 16 pads, and I was using randomizing on the thing as well, with probability on the actual parts. So as well as using randomizing on the actual pads of Tekno. But so the whole beat was running on 16 pads of Tekno, but then I had 2 extra ones which I had to program, so I had to program them in Logic. So I used them I kept them for the cymbal and another kind of sound effect or something like that. So I looped them every 4 bars, and they weren't kind of randomized. But yeah, 18, 16 would have been well enough. 18 is, I guess, 2 more.
2 more.
So why not? Yeah.
I must dig out the beat step again, because it looks so much fun when you
It's
were
such a great machine.
Yeah, I haven't really used it much, but the way you use it, because you use it as a sequencer into Logic, so you create patterns and then record the MIDI in. Is that about how you use it?
Yeah, so it's getting MIDI clock from Logic, so it runs with the session, which means that I can program stuff kind of manually, dial it in like sort of 808 vibe, but I can also record stuff from the pads on the fly using the pads, and I can also use it as a drum pad to trigger other drums
sounds.
in Logic. And use the sequencers, like I mentioned, using the voices 17 and 18. It's really flexible. And the fact, you know what the best thing about it is that it's just here. So I'm so happy. I kind of, did a very bad thing, ripping out a bucket of faders, like 12 faders from the Neve, which I'm not using. Because when I use the Neve, I use it usually, even when I do summing, I can do it through auxiliary buses, which all have transformers. It's the same sound, blah, blah, blah. So I don't really need the faders. When I record, I can use the insert sends and all that. So I don't really need, so that's like a really luxurious real estate space here. And this fitted perfectly.
It does seem to fit very nicely into, is that a bucket of 8?
Just having something here, this is the main, because otherwise, if I had to bring it in, connect the power supply, whatever, and then I just wouldn't do it, and I would just use the mouse to, and this little keyboard, which is, I have the chord thing, which is not on camera, which is slightly like 3 octaves and all that, but I find myself using this a lot, especially for drums. I love
just because it's there,
crappy plasticky thing. It's just great. And
I replaced a 12 grand bank of faders with a £125 beat step controller.
Yes, but it's all about
access.
Hands-on.
Yeah,
access,
I totally get
absolutely.
you. Yeah, makes perfect sense. Yeah, nice. Well, anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out there. I mean, I think there'll be a lot of videos out there, and I think it's worth persevering because I from what I've seen, not all of them are showing this off to its maximum capabilities. And I think Yoad's is one of the ones that really does shine. It's got some good groove. It's good to see you doing a bit of noddage there as well, Yoad, in the background. It's kind of,
I couldn't help myself, as much as I tried to kind of appear professional and impartial, I was just enjoying it too much.
Excellent. Nice one. Okay, all right. Well, I'm just going to, I'll tell you what we'll do. Just to get things underway, I'm just going to take a short break and we'll be back after this message.
Welcome to Ozone 12, your complete mastering suite. Trusted by producers and engineers for over 20 years, Ozone now features an overhauled assistant that puts you in full control. The latest mastering tech provides louder, clearer tracks and 3 brand new additions to its 20 plugin toolkit. Fix the unfixable with Stem EQ, locking your low end in any listening environment with bass control, and magically revive overcompressed audio with Unlimiter. Whether you're working on your first release or the next #1 hit, Ozone 12 gives you the control, power and speed to realize your creative vision and bring your tracks to life. Download a free trial or upgrade today to experience the full toolkit for yourself. Available now at iZotope.com.
And we'd like to thank iZotope for sponsoring Sonic Talk. Now back to the show. Okay, so what's next? We've got, there's a lot of this. It seems it's software season. We've got Ableton Beta 12.3 out and Bitwig 6 as well. So let's just get straight into that. Perhaps we'll summarise them both quickly. So I'm just going to throw this one up there. Obviously, one of the big news items for Ableton 12.3, which has gone into public beta, is the stems. So here's a little bit of... They use something called Music AI, which is a third-party service. I'm not clear as to whether they whether it's on machine or off, whether it's sort of offline, if you see what I mean, it's on CPU, or whether they send out a little packet and, you know, whatnot to them, and so you have to be online. It wasn't clear what they said about that, so I'd be curious if anybody knows. But this is obviously a big one. The thing about this is it also works on Push 3, which is quite a mean feat. I think they got that straight away. I know MPC were Akai were working on that as well, and there were some limitations. Whereas this, at least they haven't said what the limitations are, but it's kind of a big deal. I mean, Rich, I know you work in live to a great degree. Are you signed up for the beta? Are you going to be looking at? There are other things here as well, splice integration, other things, but this one is probably the biggest headline, right?
That's interesting, but I have a lot of tools that can do this already, so it's not something I'm not usually a beta software person anymore. I feel like a lot of times when I open Ableton or open a tool that I use, I'm trying to accomplish something. So very rarely am I excited about a new download or a new version, especially when I feel like this version of Ableton, it's adding tools that I have in other software already, like the stems and all that. I can do that in other things. It's nice to have it in my main DAW of choice, but my workflow doesn't require it too much. So I haven't downloaded the beta. I am excited when new versions come out. Once it comes out, and sort of I'll wait for the 0.1 version, and then I'll grab it. Yeah. Because it feels like as I get older, I just want to accomplish what I want to do, and I want the software to stay out of my way. That said, I was trying to figure out the stem thing as well, because I feel like I have a pretty decent computer, and I would like that stuff to happen locally. I don't need the world to know that really what I do in the evenings is ingest Joy Division songs and auto-tune Ian Curtis for my amusement. Like, that should stay on my computer. That doesn't need to go to the cloud. But I don't know. Very interesting.
No, it is. But there does seem to be a bit. I mean, it seems to be the headline grabber, isn't it? The whole stem separation. I mean, yeah, and I'm sure you know plenty about this stuff. But as I said, I don't know if this is happening on machine. Perhaps somebody in the chat room might know, because that would be worth knowing. Because I think, obviously, sending it out and having it come back, or whether it maybe sends some kind of spectral data, I just don't know. It's not clear. I mean, I don't suppose you've got.
Well, I mean, there's a very easy way to find out. Just go offline and see if it works. But yeah, I mean, I don't use stem separation that much, and I have it within Logic. It's nice to have. I haven't done a kind of detailed comparison between the different services or between the different applications that do that. From what I saw on the Ableton, on one of the videos, it sounds decent. I mean, there's some artifacts that will always going to have some artifacts for the foreseeable future, especially on vocals and drums. Drums lose punch. Vocals kind of become a little bit phasey and stuff at the ends, especially with reverbs and things. It's still usable if you want to do a remix and stuff like that. It's very useful and quite transparent. And I've actually used that recently because it was the 20th anniversary of the album I did with Jem, album I produced 20 years ago. And they wanted to release a kind of 20th anniversary edition. So I took the old unmastered track, 2-track, rather than stems and all that, because the mixes were great. I did them at the Townhouse Studios, and they were great. So I just remastered it. But the vocals on a couple of tracks were a little bit kind of under, like half a dB or 0.7 of dB or something like that. And then I used the iZotope one just to bring the level of the vocal level up a little bit. And the thing is, when you do that, because with all these stem separations, products or processes, however much artifacts you get, when you play it all together, it sounds identical to the source, so that it will cancel out against the source, because all the artifacts kind of get masked. It's only when you solo something that you will hear the artifacts, but when you put it back together how it was, it sounds identical. So when you push a vocal by a dB or something like that, there are no artifacts. So for that, it works great. So for remastering, stuff. If you want to create kind of karaoke versions or stuff like that, you will hear. And if you just use the vocal, again, if you use it for a remix, then maybe it's fine in context and all that. But it's great for slightly rebalancing stuff. It's very useful
Yeah,
for that.
I suppose in high fidelity. I mean, the thing is, in the world of sampling, when you're trying to kind of get rid of the guitar bit that's out of key, but you really like the beats. Well, I mean, it seems very much aimed at sort of not cut, but people who do use samples. I mean, and lots of people do. It's a perfectly legit way of putting things together. I suppose the thing is then comes down. What would be interesting is, you know, you find out 10 years down the line that these stem separation services have been kind of keeping databases of what you separated, so that when they get, you know, when the PRS people get in touch and say, well, actually, you used our sample, you go, no, I didn't, and they go, well, actually, here's a list in a database that says you did remove the bass line from that loop. I mean, it's not inconceivable that might happen. So I guess on machine would be probably much preferred to many people, rather than sending it off somewhere.
You know that I find myself very kind of conscious, and I tell artists that I work with that are in the live room, I say, you know, be wary about what you do, say, breathe, cough, whatever in there, because as much as I obviously clean it, but if it's within the kind of vocal performance or something like that, eventually someone is going to hear it solo. So it adds another layer of consciousness to everything that you do. Because when you vibe and you play a guitar part or something and it sounds great and wow, and you have a bum note or something and you can't hear it in context, then it's fine. But these days you have to be very, not careful, but you just have to be aware. You can decide that you don't care. But someone will hear it soloed. And even if the tools aren't available today to get to such a resolution,
I see what you mean. They might extract it from the master.
Able to separate each guitar from like a 10 guitars track from metal or whatever, and each string and all that. It's just a matter of time.
That's an interesting thought. I'm just thinking of kind of a recording of a room full of people murmuring away, and then being able to extract each individual voice and conversation from it. I mean, I'm sure it's probably even doable now to some degree, I'd imagine. I imagine the Secret Services have access to all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, wow, that's a thought.
Actually, thinking about that, you know, that would be a great thing to have, is to be able to not only isolate an electric guitar, but to extract the DI sound of it, or the sound of it kind of as it came out of the pickups, without any processing, without any amping. That should be possible as well, with enough training data. So
so you could sort of reamp it or reprocess it.
Reamp everything, yeah.
Wow.
You would unamp it.
Unamp it, yeah.
First,
that's a very good.
Yeah.
Unamp it first, unamp and then reamp. I'm just going to write that. That's a good. That's a unamp then reamp. So for unamp, and reamp. That's a sort of title potential. Go offline and see if it works is another one, but that'll work for now. Okay, yeah. So anyway, that's Bitwig. Sorry, that was Ableton, and we've also got Bitwig Studio 6, which is in public beta as well, which seems to be focused much more on workflow. I'm just going to press that button here. Seems to be focused much more on automation and sort of clip aliasing, which is all good stuff. It does feel a little bit perhaps behind the curve in some ways, but they've got a very different working environment, Bitwig, so I'll forgive them that. And it's really starting to develop into quite an interesting idea. Lots of ideas there, generic stuff. I know, Yared, you're a big fan of Bitwig stuff, or at least I know you've worked with them in the past on their compressor, am I right? Is that right as well?
Compressor, the multiband compressor and the EQ. Yes, I love Bitwig, and if I had more hours in the day, I would switch to Bitwig. This is my, I just love it. I love the way it looks. I love the fact that it's so immediate and snappy. and everything it does. And now with this update, a lot of stuff that I have in Logic and are the reasons I use Logic are now available in Bitwig, like moving regions separate from the automation regions. The one thing which is amazing, which isn't in anything else that I'm aware of, is the fact that you can randomize automation nodes. So they call it separation. So you select a bunch of nodes and you increase the separation. And that means that every time it will play, that particular automation lane the node's value will be different. So every pass of a loop will sound different. And this is amazing, especially for automating synth parameters. I wouldn't do it on a like to write a vocal track. And the other thing related to that is that you can take an automation clip and you can drag it to as a modulation source, and vice versa. So you can draw things and drag them onto region clips, and you can use the clip launcher to. And sorry, I'm cutting myself because this is the big one for me, is ghost regions. I'm not sure what they call it. I don't remember.
Aliases,
like in Logic, it's called alias regions. And this is what I use all the time. It exists in Cubase as well, which means that you have MIDI data and you have other regions which are linked to like a master region. So wherever they are in the arrangement, and they can be shorter or longer or anything like that, whatever changes you make in the master region will be reflected on all of those. And this is amazing. It's such a great feature, and I just love Bitwig. I think it's great. The one I know, it's kind of similar to Ableton and all that. I can't get over the fact in Ableton that the inspector is on the right. It just doesn't work for me.
But maybe they'll change that. I know, it's interesting. It's interesting, Rich, you were saying that, effectively, you like software not to get in the way. So I'm guessing if you don't already use a DAW with specific features, then the likelihood of wanting to kind of learn it is going to, by definition, get in the way, I suppose.
Yeah, well, I think now I'm going to contradict everything I said before. That's okay. I'm a complicated person, and that's just the way life works. But I've been recently in the last 3 or 4 months. I started while I was, and I spent some time on this while I was away on holidays. I've been getting into Bitwig. They did a sale a few months ago, and so I bought the full version, and I've been sort of learning it because and what I found is it really is tailored to the bizarre way that I record and mix music. And I really, really like how it works. There's one little sort of niggle that drives me crazy, and that's that it doesn't have a tuner built in. But beyond that, the way I work is I take and I'll record 20 or 30 tracks that are all in the same sort of key, and I'm doing it on a modular, on another synth, and I'll just record, and they all share the same clock, and I'll just record 20 or 30 different takes of things I find interesting while I'm sort of noodling with the modular or with the synth. And then I'll take them all and I'll drag them to the far right of the timeline, and I'll just start chopping them up and dragging them back, and I'll mix things together and I'll move things around. So I use a lot of modulation and a lot of automation and that kind of stuff. And what I found is with Bitwig, there's so much modulation that you can do, and it's so easy, and to be able to interact with the audio directly in the main window and not have to go down to a second window like you do in Ableton. I find it's a lot faster for the bizarre way that I create music, that it keeps my mind in that flow of, okay, because it's all in one space and it's all very direct. So I find it, yes, I'm learning a new tool and it's sort of been a slow going, I'll watch YouTube videos now and then, but as I then integrate that into my workflow, it's been very, very fast and very rewarding because it's allowed me to create music faster than I had in the past. So I look forward to learning more about Bitwig, and hopefully the goal is that in the next 6 months or a year, it's eventually going to replace Ableton as my DAW of choice.
Interesting. Well, I like the idea of the fact that, you could spend more time making music rather than figuring out how to get it to do what you want. I mean, I think that's obviously the idea. And I think that was, I suppose Ableton and Bitwig will have that in common because they came from similar sort of roots, but they're just sort of different threads of that philosophy. So, yeah, nice. Anyway, both available now for public beta. If you're an existing Bitwig or Ableton user, as it were, if you're an Ableton 12, you could sign up for the Ableton Live 12.3 beta, and if you're a current Bitwig subscriber, you can do the same, and then I guess they'll hit public release at some time in the near future. Usually the public beta's not too far out from the public release in experience, but you never can tell too much with software, as we know. Excuse me. Okay, so let's have a look, see what we got next. Okay. I wanted to let's go somewhere a little bit off-piste because I just really liked this. I saw this. This was posted by someone called BS1 in our Discord. For those who haven't joined our Discord, there are links all over the place now. And if you post something in Cool Finds, it may well end up in the news. And this was an example of just that. And it's just a lovely piece.
I've mixed quite a lot of festivals this year.
Oh, no, except not that one at all. It's this one. Yeah, this one. So this is something physical. I think they're based in Switzerland. Reverb made from ants. And I love the kind of 80s retro video vibe of this, which I'm sure Rich will appreciate. Just recording various things like fire and ants and playing other things through them. This is in Logic Space Designer, which allows you to load IRs, WAVs in fairly quickly and easily. I guess you could load them in other things. I just thought it was really fascinating, and there are some beautiful moments, and it's kind of almost ASMR as well as being just sort of what do they call it, slow TV, don't they? This thing where it's just sort of gentle, slow stuff, almost like watching Bob Ross paint, or somebody driving a boat along a canal on a drone shot. I think there's a whole TV channel dedicated to that, but it's kind of fascinating, and it just really reminded me again of how powerful convolution can be. And I think what we probably, and I don't know whether this exists or not, but it feels like there could be advances in convolution players that allow people to manipulate those convolutions in real time more rather than at source and load them in to be able to do it. I'm sure there are the chat room are going to be shouting at me, these going, yes, there will be. I know, Rich, how do you feel about convolution? Because it's not only space you can sample, there's guitars, there's a whole load of areas it can apply to, right?
I got to be honest, I didn't know you could do this with convolution plugins until I watched this video, but I immediately then opened Logic and I was like, oh, I'm going to try this. So I love the idea of using it almost becomes like a ring modulator in a sense that I can have one synth sound convoluting another synth sound. So I look forward to spending this week going deep on this because I found this video absolutely fascinating. Yeah, it was beautiful, and I loved the sort of lo-fi aesthetic, but it was filmed really well, and it really got its point across that you could do these bizarre things with convolution that, frankly, I'd never thought or even knew you could do. The ants were nice. I'm not a big fan of bugs, so I could probably let that one go.
The fire was quite interesting, though, wasn't it? The
fire
guitar
was very
through
cool.
fire, that was really lovely. The strumming and everything. There's some lovely. I mean, and also I have to say, it finally makes all those kind of, I'm going to buy a field recorder and record things and use found sound and everything, which never happens. You never do it really, or not. Most of us don't. There are some people who are, but this actually could give you a new incentive to try again. I know. Yeah, this. I'm sure you're probably all over Convolution, and because it must be used in a number of plugins that you've contributed to or worked on. But it's when you see it done in this way, it just feels like a really kind of inventive way of doing things.
Yeah, I mean, Convolution. The one thing when you want to get into that, the one thing to remember as a guideline, if you have an impulse, which means you have one sample, and you convolve your signal with that, you will get the exact signal back. So you'll be doing nothing. If the impulse is quieter, you will get, the output quieter. Otherwise, it will be identical. So that once you have more than one sample, then you start smearing up the sound. So anything that is longer than one sample as an IR is going to smear the sound. So if you have cabinet IRs, they are very short. So they have, and especially the low frequencies, you will see them as kind of being longer, and they're usually truncated. So what you get is less, and for electric guitars, you don't really need anything below whatever 80. So they are kind of relatively still in focus, but anything longer than that, if you keep the room sound or your mics are not on the amp, then you start smearing the signal. And anything that is longer than that, which is noise, it has to have like a sort of decaying envelope, and that will sound immediately like reverb. The more linear the envelope, the more reverb-like it will sound. And no matter what signal it's going to be, if the signal is based on noise, which means there's no kind of reoccurring harmonic structure,
Right.
then it will sound like reverb. So whatever you put in will never sound like what you expect it to. So it could be ants, it could be anything, because it's basically just noise. You're not going to hear the details of the thing because it gets convolved with whatever signal you're running through it. If it's a synth part or a guitar part or vocal or something like that. And if you run anything with pitch information, then immediately it will sound like a vocoder, because you effectively, so if you run like a synth sample, one note, and then you run a vocal track through whatever convolution processor you're using, you will get a vocoder immediately because it's the same thing. So these are kind of the guidelines, and then you can experiment. The shorter your IR is, the more coherent and kind of less watery and sort of reverby it's going going Other than that, everything is possible.
I mean, you just kind of think you could effectively make IRs or use classic wavetables as IRs. Would that work?
You could. I mean, you could use single cycles as IRs. The more simple they are, the more vocoder-like they're going to be, because if it's going to be more than a single cycle, obviously it depends on the pitch, because the pitch will be the pitch of the IR is going to be the pitch of the signal running through it. So if it's going to be a single sample, it means that it's quite short. Then it will be quite. Obviously, it depends on the harmonics. If it's just a sine wave at like 2K or something like that, it will sound very dull. If it's a sawtooth at 2K, then it will be a vocoder, because that's what it is. It's exactly the thing. It's the same thing. It's just a different way of implementing it. So it's basically an FFT vocoder.
So I'm thinking in a way what you could do that, there's, in terms of an instrument, you could use multi-sample IRs that take their processing from pitch information of the incoming thing. So it's like if it's a G, it will process it with the G tuned multi-sample or the whatever. I don't know if there's any point to that, but I suppose there's a way of you could remap the incoming pitch to the outgoing convolution for a more accurate or a more pitch matched kind of approach. I don't know. I'm going to have to play with that. It sounds quite interesting.
Yeah. It's basically what you're describing as a vocoder. Vocoder does that based
Yes, I
on the
suppose so.
carrier, whatever you play into it. So,
Interesting.
but
Well,
the one thing to remember, and which is never going to change, is the fact that whenever you change the IR, you have to re-render the sample. So whatever change you make to the IR, whether it's kind of damping filter or damping resonant filter or whatever it is, you have to reprocess the sample offline and refeed. So you will always stop the tail, and then you will always have a gap.
Okay, yeah, I see. So it would render any change. Yeah, so if you're repitching it, or like you say, okay, interesting. That makes sense to me. Well, fascinating. I knew you'd have a way of explaining it in the way that I understood them. Yeah, so thank you very much. I think we're just going to take a quick break. We'll be back shortly after this. Native Instruments Modular Icons. Vintage modular synth sounds from iconic artists and instruments, made in collaboration with the Bob Moog Foundation. Part of the Play series, great sounding presets and real-time control.
Modular Icons was built from the real thing. Rare modular synths that shape the sound of electronic music. Everything was sampled directly from vintage Moog, Buchla, ARP, and more, captured in detail, one knob turn at a time. You get the warmth and unpredictability of analog with the freedom of modern tools.
The modulars themselves are so expansive, but when you are providing 10 or 12 different incredible modulars, people really have this immense palette to explore and to shape in their own way, to create in their own way.
Over 60% of the proceeds go to supporting the Bob Moog Foundation. Excellent. Right, so let's see, where should we go next? Do we have a because we probably only got time for another topic and a half. Is there anything that anybody specifically would like to discuss? I've done the obviously I've taken the reverb from Ants. We've got the Boss PX1 pedal plug-outs, song written by everyone, lessons in live mixing. What's that? The Boss?
The Boss, yeah.
Okay, let's go to that then. I'll just bring that up and press go.
The PX1 is a window into timeless effects from Boss's historic collection, and it marks a leap forward in Boss compact pedal design. Using state-of-the-art modelling technology, the PX1 gives customers a new way of discovering tones via a collection of timeless Boss effects into an easy-to-use compact platform.
Yeah, this is interesting. I mean, it's kind of, in a way, it's almost exactly the same concept as the Line 6 pedals, which we had for a while, where you just feed it into your guitar pickup. You put your phone on your guitar pickup, and it would sort of play a modem tone into it and load various IRs. I think there was a little bit of confusion about this. I mean, this is not terribly cheap. It's $249. It comes with, I think it's 16 slots for kind of plug-out models, which is the similar principle that we had in the IRA, some of the IRA stuff. But you can only use one at a time. You know, it's not like the Zoom, for instance, where you can chain as many as the DSP can handle. But and I guess this is going to be sort of quality emulations of the classic and, you know, perhaps more harder to find Boss effects. I think obviously the end game is to get you to subscribe to Roland Cloud, where you'll get a load of these things, you know, which is, I get it, you know, I mean, but it's just an interesting idea that's been revisited. And I'm wondering whether or not, is the market ready for it now than it was with Line 6, or is this a different offering? What do you think, Gerard?
I think that this is a classic example of form factor kind of being the the motivation here, because everyone knows, every guitarist knows the Boss pedals, and everyone loves them because they're great. And then when you have the same thing, which is so familiar, so easy to use, it has 3 knobs, and you just want to use it. And basically, the guts of it is a DSP platform. And I think that the fact that you can't run more than one instance at a time is deliberate, because I'm sure you can just put like stronger DSP, especially for $250. You know, you can put whatever M1 inside. You can run 100, maybe not 100, but 10. So I think that it's, like you said, it's basically an incentive to subscribe to the Roland Cloud. I think that the backlash is quite prominent, and I think that maybe they will rethink their model, because a lot of people, they want to buy something and to own it. And here you get it. Also, I don't get the idea where you buy the unit and you get 16 models. And when you buy more, you have to decide which ones you want to basically to give up on.
Yeah.
So it's not that you have 16, that it comes with 16 and then you have extra like 8 slots which you can add on to it. So something here is unclear. But again, I think it's just the form factor which is kind of tempting. The guitarist wants, because it will fit on your pedal board. It's not like a Zoom or anything which is slightly bigger, or a Line 6 which is slightly larger. It can do more, but it's a bit more fiddly. Here, you just press the button and it gives you the menu, and you can change the model. And then it's one plugin, so it's easy to understand. Today you want it to be like a tube screamer or whatever, then it does just that. So it's kind of...
I suppose the thing for me is guitar pedals, generally speaking, one begins to collect that sort of thing. So would you buy more of these because you wanted to run more than one pedal, or would you go back and try and find the original? I mean, people like to have a selection. You know, you want to go, you know, your classic routing. Where would this fit in that? Because if it can be a drive or a chorus or a delay or whatever it is, it's going to be in a different position each time, and it's going to make it kind of more complicated to use. I don't know. Pedals feel like they're the sort of thing that you would buy more than one of, but perhaps not this one. So I'm a bit puzzled, I must admit.
Yeah, this is a strange. They made a lot of strange decisions with this. One, watching the videos, they start out very simple, and I'm like, okay, I get it. You get this pedal. It's got a bunch of different effects. You can only pick one, which is a bummer. I have that Zoom pedal, and I love it because you can create these crazy chains of effects with it. The Boss pedal does sound, assuming that they didn't play with it too much in what you hear in the video, it sounds beautiful. It sounds just like you would expect the effects to sound. But the idea that, okay, when you buy it out of the box, it has 8 effects, but then you have to download the app on your phone to get the other 8 effects to copy them over. That sounds like what the point of this is trying to get you trained as an artist to say, okay, I have to have an app for this. And then they figure, well, if I have the app, I'm going to try this extra free thing to get, or I'm going to subscribe to get these extra 2. It really feels like a way to turn pedals into a subscription service and get you to sign up for Roland Cloud, which I understand because, the cost on Roland Cloud for Roland is very low once it's developed. I feel like for $250, though, you should be able to do more than one effect at a time. With the Zoom pedal is half that price, and you can do a ton of effects on it to the point where it becomes, ridiculous. Now, the sound quality may not be equal, but I suspect that comes down to algorithms and not the hardware. This Boss thing, it probably costs them $35 or $40 to manufacture. So to add, you can't blame the DSP on that, because the Zoom one, it probably costs a little less than that to make. I really think these are deliberate choices they're making to try to get people to subscribe, because subscriptions are an ongoing income for these large companies. I don't think this has the best intentions of the artists in mind. I feel this is some enshittification of guitar pedals, which is sort of a
That's
bummer.
interesting. I can't say I disagree with much of what you're saying. I mean, I'm just trying to think who's this for. Professional musician, absolutely no way is going to be doing this. I wouldn't imagine you're going to have a much different environment and algorithm switching and DSP platform. It's the casual user. It's perhaps the sort of the bedroom tinkerer, the rehearser who's already got maybe some Wazacraft, stadium headphone things. I don't know. I'm not sure how it's going to work. But yeah, it does feel a little off piste, as it were. I mean, I hope.
You can get the new X Stomp Arcade or whatever it's called, which is amazing. It has beautiful guitar amp modeling plus tons of effects. It's larger, but it's like $300 or something like that, $250 in pounds. And it does so much more, and you can use like it has tons of guitar models, amp models, plus effects and everything. And it's a sound card. Yeah. And it has an on-screen editor. So I don't get it. I really don't get it.
It's curious, isn't it? There's a lot of, I mean, they must have done some market research and know that there are people who are into this, and so yeah, well, good luck to them. But yeah, I'm a little puzzled, but yes, not quite the glowing praise that we thought we might go for with that. Let me see what else we've got. What about this one? I like. I think we'll just, if we've got time, the 5 lessons in live mixing. I just thought this was a really good piece. And focuses much more on the life than the technique. And I just thought he was a really good communicator.
I've mixed quite a lot of festivals this year. I've mixed festivals
offshore
before,
audio,
but I've never had like a proper festival summer where I've been at festivals every single weekend for an extended period of time. But this year I've been touring with an artist, and I've done like 30 or 40 festivals. I'm not really sure, but basically every single weekend since May. And it's been a lot of fun, but it's also been really, really tough. So I wanted to share with you 5 of the most important things that I've learned about working at festivals and just working in live sound from this festival season. So without further ado,
yeah, it's an interesting one, this. I mean, I don't know if, how many of... I mean, I've done live sound, I've done festival sound, and what he says is true, and I've not heard it defined in that way before, but some very interesting points. My favourite is kind of basically treat everybody like they're an idiot. Not like they're an idiot, but like they're not going to remember anything you say. So you have to just keep telling them, you've given them the paperwork, here's the rider, you still show up and it's all wrong, the measurements are wrong, they've got the wrong thing. Everything like that will go wrong, particularly in a festival situation. And just a lot of it's about timekeeping, having a lot more, it takes a lot of time, and making sure you're early because these things kind of rush. Yeah, and I seem to remember you saying you'd done a bunch of live sound as well, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
many years ago, festivals as well. I like the studio environment much more. I hate traveling, in a van or a bus or all that, and I hate the waiting. It's all about waiting. You're always in a room with hobnobs waiting. That's whether you're playing. I played live as well, or you're the sound guy, front of house. This is what you do, and it's so boring. So it's great. It's exciting, and it's a vibe and all that. But I much prefer studio life. And so it's been years since I've been doing live sound. I've been, involved in the design of LV1, which is the Waves live platform based on SoundGrid technology. And this is the heart of my studio. So this runs everything in here, like 4 computers, 256 IOs, converters, laptops, and everything all goes through that.
Right.
So it's like the advancements in technology and connectivity and recallability and all that are amazing. So I enjoy designing the stuff, but not as much. I just don't like the waiting.
Yeah, it's interesting. You could define it as an extremely linear curve, can't you? It's like you leave your
Yes.
house, you creep along like this, and then at the very last minute it goes right up in the air, and then you fall off the cliff again. That's just sort
Exactly.
of every day. And right at the top, you're kind of, maybe you're in full joy mode, but it's all the other stuff. Rich, I mean, I remember you saying you did some live recording and stuff, so there must have been an element of live sound in that as well. I mean, have you ever done it for prolonged or toured or done front of house for an extended period?
No, that's not the world that I'm familiar with really at all. But watching this video, I found it fascinating that these are things for life. There wasn't anything here I found that was particularly like only worked in live sound situations. Like all this stuff, what he was talking about, treat everyone like that's how I talk to the factory that builds my instruments. Double check and triple check and quadruple check and keep saying these things over and over again. That's just the reality of trying to accomplish whatever you're trying to accomplish, not necessarily put on a live performance. So I think this is someone that really understands the process of accomplishing something. And it's much broader than just, hey, this only works for live sound. This really works for just about anything. Stay focused and pay attention to what you're doing, I think is basically what he was trying to say. And it works, and be ready for problems.
That was the interesting part as well, the kind of the level of the extended times and level of focus when you're dealing with, if you're the front of house guy, you might have a monitor person, you might have a stagehand or two. If you're really lucky, you'll have a TD, you'll have other stuff, TM, and other people who will help. But I mean, ultimately, there's a lot of problem solving and a lot of kind of thinking on the hoof. I mean, it's entirely possible. I mean, one of the other things he said is you absolutely need to be totally prepared. You do not need to be turning up going, "Where's that cable?" It's eventually, you almost have to make a hardware installation. There's is it Gravity Rigs? I think we posted a couple of videos of theirs where they're doing rig rundowns. They make rig rundown rigs for kind of professional touring acts. So this is like a live performance rig, and they just go through them. And you look on the inside, and it's like this it's almost like a studio, but it has to, withstand the rigours of the road. So when you take it out of the bus and it's been upside down for 16 hours on a bumpy road, it's going to work. I mean, and then you need to have a backup as well. These are the things that, you can't wing it. You just cannot wing it. Or if you do, you're probably not going to enjoy your life very much because you just don't want to have those sort of things going over you. I mean, I'm guessing, you seem like you might be the sort of chap who prepares. What do they say? Fail to prepare to fail, that sort of thing. But I mean, just the way that you prepare for mix sessions, etc. Everything has to be right. Otherwise, you spend too much time.
Otherwise, it
other
will
stuff
just be wrong. Whatever can possibly go wrong will. So you have to just prepare. But this is one of the reasons that I like being in here, because it's offline. You just make sure, you have to make sure that you record the take and you don't mess up on that. And that brings me to the days of working with multi-tracks, 2-inch tapes and all that. You have to get it right and not to erase the wrong track or something like that. And these days, the equivalent will be to, make sure it's recorded and it's all good. But other than that, you can stop. You can take however long you need to set up the mic or this or that, and you can do another take. I just like that because I'm a perfectionist. So I do enjoy the vibe of live. I remember that, and I used to do a lot of live recordings, and to live TV and all that. And there's a lot of adrenaline, and I do like that. But I prefer
You can't
just
sustain it, you know.
doing this.
It's hard to-
Yeah. Just
Yeah,
prefer.
no, it's interesting what you say, because I mean, I think also you bear in mind, I mean, nowadays, I mean, we've covered a couple of these topics already of what can be fixed. Essentially, you know, there are things that you could do afterwards that will maintain the energy and the vibe of what was recorded, even if there was a problem with it. It's in some ways, it's even possible to synthesize stuff that was missing, or you know, you can restore or enhance it to a degree. So I guess that, but because that pressure, I remember being in a studio and you know, having to do overdubs is really. It's really stressful. I mean, it was really stressful. It's not anymore because you're not over recording anything these days, you know. But in some ways, I suppose lots of studio, maybe people in bands maybe miss the jeopardy of it, because it focuses the mind maybe. I mean, there are sort of positives to it as well. I mean, there's a lot of ways you could think about that as a positive thing. But it takes you have to have a certain amount of self-confidence to not fall apart of a continued stressful situations, you know, and that's experience, I suppose, isn't it, in many ways?
Yeah, one of the, you know, being a recording engineer, let alone a producer, but being a recording engineer is about authority, confidence, and leadership in a way, because you're running in a big studio where you have loads of musicians and you have loads of machine running and everything has to function, and you have to get everyone focused and concentrate on the job at hand and don't mess up. And you just have to, I like that, you know. In the beginning it was stressful. These days that's where I find myself feeling at home, because I've been doing it for so many years. But yeah, I can understand why it can be stressful when, you know, when you're not done it for 50,000 hours or something. Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it? I mean, you take that into a live situation. I mean, doors at 7 is kind of the word, isn't it? You know, it's like there are going to be 10,000 people walking into this room expecting a show. Therefore, it's got to work. You know, there's no route. I mean, people cancel shows very reluctantly. I mean, there are some, obviously, you know, you hear stories about certain artists that don't appear to care, but I'm sure there's an awful lot more to those stories than we're privy to anyway. But yeah, that sort of stuff is very it is kind of stressful, but it does focus the mind. Interesting way. Yeah, well, this feels like quite a positive way to end, and maybe a time to wrap things up. It's been lovely to talk to you chaps. Yoad, are you off to are you back into alt tab into something top secret, or have you got a bit of time to enjoy what's left of the summer?
I think I'm gonna call it a day for today, because I already had a very busy day even before the show. So, but tomorrow is a full-on day. Yeah.
Right.
And
okay,
I may edit some videos at home, because that's what I do these days.
Yeah. It's so easy to do these days, isn't it? That's the point.
Yeah. By the way, I do it all remotely. I do it all through TeamViewer, because the audio is great. It's stereo. You don't need anything like audio movers or anything like that, and it just works amazing.
Desktop.
I mean, I use a laptop, and but it's just a terminal, so everything is running on the M4.
Right.
The only thing is, if you want to make cuts kind of on the beat and things like that, you can't, because there's a bit of latency. But other than that, you know, because before I thought I would copy everything, Dropbox it to the laptop, but since we're talking about hundreds of gigabytes per video, or
viable.
Tens of, you know, whatever, 80, I think, something like that, 60, it takes a while to, so I don't have to have it locally. I just use everything remotely. I can do it from any laptop. It doesn't have to be a powerful laptop or anything like that. And the sound is the fact that it automatically, you don't have to do anything. And once you log into TeamViewer, it automatically creates a virtual driver and assign the Mac output to that. So
Yeah,
if
what
the
I've
Vinci
used-
is assigned to the Mac output, it will automatically adapt to that. And then when I come back in the morning, I can continue editing the
session's
same
still
session
open,
from the same
yeah.
place. So
No, I get that.
really
Well,
good.
actually, top tip, I use Parsec. We use Parsec for that here.
Yeah, I know you suggested that, but you can't use it really properly on the phone. You can't zoom in, and the mouse kind of
On the phone,
handling was
okay.
fiddly because I use it a lot on the phone as well. Not necessarily editing video, but I need to do some stuff using the phone as well. So
Okay,
that didn't
right.
work for me, unfortunately.
Well, because I mean, I'm running this show via Parsec. I'm just looking at the screen of a machine that's in Virginia. You know, it's a big. It's something that I spin up with a whole load of GPUs, and I used to be able
desktop,
to.
yeah.
But I can't anymore because I used to be able to run Resolve on the same machine, but there's something wonky with the GPU drivers and because they're weird ones for data centers, I haven't been able to do that. So I just download the footage now. But I used to just flip out of this and then edit the show on the same machine via remote desktop in exactly the same way. But yeah, top tip: remote desktop is or varying flavors is a very good way to do things, particularly if you've got enough bandwidth. Richard, what about yourself? What's going on for you? Got any big plans or exciting week ahead?
Well, we had a short week here in the U.S.
Labor
because of the
Day,
holiday
yes, of
on
course.
Monday, but I'm going to finish up here and then go into the shop and hopefully hear a couple prototypes that Perry has been banging on for the last couple days, and hopefully look at some software that we've been working on for some firmware. And then I've been playing around. I'm trying to come up with like a simple Eurorack case that's affordable. So that's what I've been staring at on my computer. I don't know if that's ever going to come to fruition or not, but that's what I'm playing with this week. And then on Sunday, I have here locally in Pittsburgh, once a month, I do a talk at the library where I sort of help people sort of understand music technology a little bit. So this week, we're going to be talking about, of all things, guitar pedals, where I'm going to go through and explain that there's really only like 5 different kinds of guitar pedals, and they're really easy to understand. So that's what my Sunday is going to be like. And I can't wait for that. Those are always super, super fun.
That sounds great. Well, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. I was going to mention, don't forget, do check out Dave Spears, released an album today or this week, davespears.bandcamp.com. It's called Never Growing Old, and it's a sort of musical journey through his recent life experiences where his wife sadly passed away. But it's a lovely piece with there's 14 tracks, excellent synth work on it, and obviously
I'm going to check it out.
Yeah, it's well worth checking out. And he sent me a link today, and it sort of his being able to get back into music after such a devastating, life event. Anyway, all the best to Dave, and do check it out. You can there's a link on the page where it's free, but you can pay a charity, donate to a charity, which is linked on the page. So do check that out. Wagyu just posted it in the chat, so it will have gone past quite recently. Anyway. That's it for this week. Thank you so much, everybody. That was Sonic Talk 859. We'll see you next time. Oh, Bristronica coming up, end of the month. See you there. Bye. Take care.